friends. Of course I'm best friends with my camp friends, sisters, brothers, girlfriends, second cousins, removes, great aunt's cousin.
Camp friends, of course we bullied everyone we didn't
No,
like.
Allie, you can't say that.
We're camp friends. Of course we ate at camp the second we became counselors.
We're camp friends. Of course they were my first kiss and now I'm a lesbian.
We're camp friends. Of course I still have your Brandy Melville shirts labeled with your last name from 2011.
We're camp friends. Of course I'm bullied into holding a bag that's not mine.
We're camp friends. Of course we all make out with people in the same room right next to each other.
Camp friends.
Of course we still talk about when we were color war generals.
We're camp friends. So colleging is this thing where you make up a fake college and then you do a march.
Camp friends. Of course we have nicknames for every person we've ever liked.
Camp friends. Of course they surprised me with shirts with my fiance's face on it.
Camp friends. Of course everyone's staring at us in the middle of the street while we're singing camp tunes.
We're camp friends. Of course I spent $50 on snacks for my girls.
Camp friends. Of course cooking was our favorite hobby because they didn't feed us edible food.
We're camp friends. Of course she literally won't cooperate and just do the TikTok for us. We're camp friends.
That bus is breaking color work.
Yeah,
Wait.
that bus is breaking color